everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. Eliana, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee McBride.
Here.
Trustee Marquez.
Here.
Trustee Diaz-Locum.
Here.
Vice President McAvoy.
Present.
President Lawson.
Here. So let's see, we're on report out on closed session. Item 3.1, the board listened to info from the attorney and consultant and accepted the recommendation. And we will reconvene to closed session for items 3.2 and 3.3 after our public meeting. So welcome everybody and all the members of the public that are here. You are automatically muted when you join the meeting. And just a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. There's a link in the chat box if you require Spanish translation. And if you would like to speak to the board, please fill out a Google Doc, which is linked in the board agenda, and it's also in the chat box, and we can post it again for those who just joined. Please do make sure to include your name so that we know who to unmute when the time comes. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person per topic. If the item you would like to speak on is not on the agenda, you'll be called to the podium during the podium. We'll unmute you during oral communication. And if you're speaking on an item that's on the agenda, you'll be called on when that item is being addressed. And as a reminder that because we're meeting via teleconference, all votes will be by roll call. So give me just a second and we'll pull up our special guest.
Hi, I'm Jojo Gadini. I'm in 5th grade and I go to Clifford Elementary School. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I just realized, Kyle, I didn't unmute myself, so I hope that everybody was able to hear that. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Jojo, for leading us in the pledge. Are there any changes to the agenda? I know we have a few.
We are going to pull item 9.2.
We'll pull item 9.2 to come back on May 20th, I believe.
Correct.
And Janet, I'd like to pull the discussion items. I believe it's 11.3 and 11.4. I need to get some further clarification.
Okay. So we will bring 11.3 and 4 back. Are there any other changes? None. If there are no more changes, is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
So Cecilia and Dennis. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee McBride.
Aye.
Trustee Marquez.
Aye.
Trustee Diaz-Locum.
Aye.
Vice President McAvoy.
Aye.
President Lawson.
Aye. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to oral communication. We do have some comment cards that have come in. So the first speaker will be Nicole Russo. Kyle, did you find Nicole? I don't see Nicole on the list.
I don't either.
Yeah, and this card came in early, so we'll move on and see if maybe she joins later. Next is David Gill.
There's a David, so I'm, oh, D. Gill, I got it. Okay. So that person now has been unmuted.
It looks like he's still muted, but David, if you're able to unmute yourself.
Um, yeah, I keep hitting the unmute, and he maybe has himself muted, and I can't unmute him. Just says talking permitted. So I would go ahead and move on.
Okay, David, if you figure out how to unmute yourself, let us know and we'll come back to you. Suzanne Ruiz Dunlap.
There
All
we
right,
go.
Suzanne, you're unmuted.
Okay. Oh, are you looking at me or just seeing me or hearing me?
We just hear you.
Okay, so I can start now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Sorry. Hi, so my name is Suzanne Ruiz Dunlap, and I'm here to urge the school board to reconsider the name change for Adelante Selby School. I know that naming the school is a hard job, and it's brought up a lot of emotions. The pressure of COVID-19 to stay home for the stay-home order also weighs heavy on us. I'm sure many parents don't even know that this is going on, meaning the Zoom meeting. I must have tried 4 different ways to get in just right now, with not knowing a password, using one email, not an email address. So I know it's very complicated. Some people don't have the time or the tech even to participate this way. And I believe that decisions are being made with many families unaware of what's happening in, I call the Zoom world. We are getting, the school district is, our school is getting the school principal's email, but even my families that I have contact with aren't getting all my emails. They just have so many coming up every day. The school board, I believe, needs to let the naming committee have the option to have Adelante Selby as a choice. I believe that mistakes are part of life, and I help my children in my classroom to figure out and work things out. We talk it out. We listen to each other. We come up with different approaches to problem solving. And I feel that the decision last week was made very quickly and without thought. I believe there was no input more from that was needed from the parents. The teachers may have opinions, but you haven't heard from all of us, and we are strong. I can't give up Adelante Selby as a school name, and we can't make this mistake. The name Adelante Selby Spanish Immersion School will make the majority of our 700 plus students, the community, and the school board happy, rather than a name change wanted by only a handful of parents, in my opinion. Keeping Adelante Selby will continue to make the past generations prideful, as well as future generations. The school board should let the naming committee have the option of using Adelante Selby Spanish Immersion School. Thank you, and that's all I'd like to say.
Thank you. I see that Nicole Russo has joined us, so we can unmute Nicole and she can speak for 3 minutes. I do see some audience members that have their hands raised. You do need to fill in the Google Doc to get your name on the list. We're not taking public comments by hands raised. So if you see in the chat box, I'll post it one more time, the link to the Google Doc to fill out.
What was the name of the speaker?
It was Nicole Russo.
I don't see.
Oh, she was here. Did she go away again? Okay, she was there just a second ago. Okay, then next will be Michelle Smith.
Michelle Smith.
Hi, Michelle, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Hi. So again, hello. I am speaking about the naming of the Spanish Immersion School. I spoke last week about the school name, and of the choices that were given, I thought that the school should be either Unidos, which is something new and that some of the parents and even my own kids had wanted, or Adelante, which was by community vote the majority. I know that many disagree with me. I personally did not like Adelante Selby, as I felt that it was not thoughtful enough in terms of what it represented for our community. In an effort to press forward, I thought choosing something from the remaining names would be the most expeditious, but after speaking with other parents, I came to the following conclusions. 1, the school board naming policy is undemocratic. The decision brings up sort of a lot of anguish from the years past, and 3, it's an unfair application of the naming policy. I think the biggest problem people have is with this and the undemocratic policy is that, and people should know if they haven't already or they don't know, is that the board policy calls for a committee of 6 people to come up with a list of names and then gives the superintendent the final choice. There is no requirement for public or community input for the naming. Fortunately for our community, the naming committee has conducted a series of votes in order to gain some kind of public input. And they're going to put previously recommended names up to another community vote. This is how it should be. Leaving the choice to only a committee and the superintendent is not representative of our community's choice. And in other districts, like the LA School District, they have a process in which the board approves the list of names and the final vote by the community is the final name. I'm happy to send the board that policy. So the second point, dragging out this naming just brings up a lot of feelings from last year. And it leaves a lot, our school in further limbo. The board sort of has a track record of conforming committees and not really accepting or acknowledging the work that they've done. To my third point, Orion did not have to wait for the board naming policy to select and confirm their name. And now our school, amidst this pandemic and towards the end of the school year, we have to go through another round of this when we could be focusing on other things. And look, I know your intention is not to anger everyone in our community. I know you're trying to do your best in what you think is best, but the problem is that this is sort of just on top of a series of blunders by this board. Like, we can't even get naming a school straight. And just to conclude, I think one of the things that should happen is that either the board amend the policy to include a more democratic process, since we're already dragging this process out, or just stop wasting the time of our naming committee and of our community, and come up with something yourselves if the community's voice isn't going to matter in the final decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. And I do want to make one point of correction. The board policy calls for the naming committee to bring 3 names to the superintendent, and the superintendent will choose the name from there to bring to the board for approval or not. We're going to
But
move
it
on.
still does not require a community.
Amy Seagrove.
Actually, Janet,
Yeah.
real quick, I mean, the policy also calls for a public hearing, which is where everybody gets to provide public comment. And we did have a public hearing and we heard a lot of comments that way. We also got emails from a variety of people. And then we discussed it before taking action on the recommendation that Dr. Baker brought to us. And there were more comments there. So there actually is public comments. I just want to clarify that particular point. Thank you.
Thanks, Elisa. Kyle, do you see Amy Seagrove?
I saw Nicole Russo though, so that was the one we had skipped.
If she's there, pull her up because she's been popping in and out.
Okay, so Nicole Russo is now active.
Cool.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Great. Good evening. Thank you for taking the time to hear our thoughts about all of this. And I know it's been a trial for everybody involved regarding the naming of the Spanish Immersion School. I personally feel like there's a lot of holding on to the past, and I understand there's honor to holding on to the past, but I also feel like, as we spoke in the public hearing very passionately about moving forward and forging something new. And I'm really pleased to hear that the board heard some of those parents talking about moving forward. And a lot of, I think Michelle spoke to the point that, and maybe Susan also spoke to the point that it's very difficult sometimes to get your feedback into this Zoom situation. But I feel like a lot of people are saying they want to just get this settled. And I think everybody's in agreement about that. I think we need to move with a decision about something new. I appreciate not having Adelante or Selby in the name because we are a new community. We need to reflect that. And I feel like so many people are holding on to these names, and that's not what this is about. It's not about the past, it's about something new. And I appreciate that the board has heard that, and I hope that we can all move forward together and make a decision that's best for everybody. I think everybody's a little tired of this issue and we just want to get it resolved. Like Michelle said, let's just get it done and focus on the bigger things that we're all dealing with as a community, and try to do this with respect to each other and everybody's wishes. I know not everybody's going to be pleased with whatever decision you come to, but thank you for hearing everybody's voices. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Nicole. Next is Lance Powell.
Okay, I'm here. Can you help me? Can you hear me?
Yes, Lance, we can hear you. Kyle, can you mute Nicole, please? Lance, go ahead.
Great, thank you. I also want to speak with regards to the naming of Adelante Selby. I am, just to introduce myself, I'm a 23-year career educator, and I also have 2 students currently at Adelante Selby. And I want to speak to something that hasn't been brought up. Actually, the last speaker brought it up a little bit, but I want to take a different viewpoint to that. Part of my career, I actually helped found a school in San Francisco. And I think, just with that experience, I know what it takes to build a school. And I know, I'm thinking of all the teachers, the administrators, the family, the staff that built Adelante and Selby Lane, and there is a legacy there. I think it's bigger than just us, but regardless, the community has voted. And so the last speaker noted that maybe not everybody will be pleased, but we have an overwhelming majority vote from the community to keep the name Adelante Selby. And in doing so, we will champion and celebrate the legacy of just years and years of hard work. Last year, when Dr. Baker was justifying why Adelante was going to be consolidated, one of the points he made was because Adelante was at capacity, they couldn't enroll more students. And Adelante, being a flagship Spanish immersion school that's well known, was a draw for people coming in outside of the district. And so if we take that name away, certainly there's going to be less pull for people coming from outside the district coming in and bringing those educational dollars with them. And it makes the argument or that justification mute and disingenuous. And so I understand, I hope that you understand that the community is upset. The trust has been broken. This is not the first time. This seems to be a pattern. I don't have high expectations that this error will be reconsidered, but I couldn't sit quietly here while this is happening. So thank you for listening, and I do hope that you will reconsider this and consider what the previous speaker said about maintaining a democratic system and recognizing that you all serve the community. Thank you.
Thank you. I see that we have Amy Seagrove now, so we can go ahead and unmute Amy. Hi, Amy, go ahead. Amy, are you there? Okay, we will move on to Rex Northern.
Okay, I think you can hear me now, right?
Yes, go ahead, Rex.
Hey, Janet, how's it going? All right, well, thank you very much for letting me talk. I would like to echo many of the comments that have been made, and unfortunately, I know there is so much on both sides of this argument from so many people who feel passionately about the need for the new versus the need for the old. I happen to be one of the people who echoes what's been said about the legacy of Adelante. I happen to be one of the people who, having had 3 kids who've gone through the Adelante history, believes that the community feels strongly about that name. But that's not the reason I'm speaking. The reason I'm speaking is because whether or not I agree with changing and the new should sweep the old, or the old should be retained for legacy reasons, or whatever it might be, I think that the bigger issues are as follows. Number one, and it's been raised by a few people, number one, we do have this issue of confidence. If you're going to commence a democratic process or an apparently democratic process, and then you're going to ignore the results of that democratic process, you do run the risk of getting a lot of people up in arms. And there is a very simple way of justifying a decision and say, listen, it was the voice of the community, it was what was decided, and a few individuals at a meeting like this cannot undo that. So our hands are tied. That's what the community wanted. So it's a very simple solution. It's very challenging to start a kind of quasi-democratic process and then to take it away. You will find, I mean, there probably will be hundreds of voices now who will find real challenges with seeing this occur. So that's point number one. Point number two is that so there's a confidence issue. Point number two is it is very, very clear that extending this issue and starting another vote at a moment when the community has already voted and saying to the community, I'm sorry, we are going to reject your voice. You do not have a voice. We're going to start another process based on that seems crazy to many people, me included, at a time when the solid education of our children should be the principal matter at hand. So why we have an ongoing focus on this issue is concerning. I know it sounds self-serving, and it is to a degree, but it will be something which will both have the community very upset, does have the community very upset, has had the community upset because it reflects this pattern of apparently ignoring what the community wants, and it extends the pain at a time when there are so many more important issues. Those are my points.
Thank you, Rex. Our next speaker is Stephen Zoepf, Z-O-E-P-F. Is he still here?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Go ahead.
I echo the comments of Lance and Rex who just spoke, and I'll cede the rest of my time.
Okay, thank you. Catherine Stewart.
She has to unmute herself.
I think you guys are both going back and forth. Catherine, can you unmute yourself? There you go. Go ahead.
I'm here. Okay. Hi. Yes, I had a few questions. First one, though, is there's, I'd like to go ahead and get the district and my school in particular started buying the things we need to buy so that things are not sold out and back ordered for the fall. So for example, IKEA desk item for $79, and we can probably negotiate to get the prices down much lower than that. I'd like to go ahead and see if we can order some of those, and I'm happy to order like a dozen of them or something just so you can see what they look like. But at any rate, there are a lot of things that we could be doing now and preparing for now that I'd like to see happen. So for example, this is item number 802.130.74 for $79. It's a white desk that has shelves. It has a little drawer, and it's an easy clean item. We wouldn't have to replace the chairs. For example, if we bought a classroom of 28 students, for $79 would be $2,212 per class. So for 20 classrooms at that price would be $44,240. If we bought 500 of the desks, it would be $39,500. If we bought 600 of the desks, it would be $47,400. And that's assuming that we'd get no discount at all on the $79 price, which I'm sure if the whole district or even just our school or even just me showed up to negotiate, that we'd get a better price. Because typically if you ask, you beg, you whine, you get a better price. So if we do it now, we could start buying some of these things. The parents could easily take turns in shifts assembling them for free. They can be delivered to the classroom because I've had IKEA stuff delivered to the classroom before. So all this can be done if the district can tell us to say, let's go ahead and start making some decisions and getting the money together for some of these things. Like I say, I'm willing to buy the first dozen or so of them just so that we have them there and you guys can play around with them and see what they look like when they're assembled. But they also have pictures of them online and so forth. And in addition to that, we need things like the sprayer fogger types of cleaners that the airlines are using, which basically is a lot faster way to clean things in between kids. We might have 10 kids in a classroom or 12 kids in a classroom. That's not as critical as being able to say, how are we going to manage this over time? Another thing is, for example, there's infrared scanners that can just, you walk by them and they take a whole picture. It's not the little ones that you just aim at someone's forehead, but you actually take the picture of the whole person's temperature. It doesn't undress them or anything like that, you just see it.
30 seconds left.
Okay, so anyway, my point is, can we please have permission to go ahead and start making some of these decisions, because we need to start buying stuff. We need to figure out how much it's going to cost. I've got some of those numbers, and going ahead and buying them so we don't get in a position in the fall where we've waited too late and the entire rest of the world is shopping for what we're shopping for. This is like the Black Friday of all Black Fridays. So can we please get permission to go ahead and start discussing these things and ordering them? That's it. Thank you. Catherine Stewart, 650-743-1704. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. John, Dr. Baker, I don't know if you want to respond to that right now.
You know what? I'll give Catherine a call. I'll give her a call.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That appears to be the rest of our speakers' cards for oral communication. So we will move on. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. David Gill, I still want to try him again because he's still here. Can you pull him up and see if he can unmute himself? David, can you unmute yourself?
I've tried to unmute him and it's on his end.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna move on because I think he's not unmuting himself. Moving on to the bond program consent items, minus 9.2 that was pulled to come back at a future meeting.
So moved.
Dennis?
Second.
Maria, thank you. Ellie, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee McBride?
Aye.
Trustee Marcus?
Aye.
Trustee Diaz-Locum?
Yes.
Vice President McAvoy?
Aye.
President Lawson?
Aye. Okay, moving on to the bond program action items. 10.1, approval of moving services for Henry Ford Hoover and Roosevelt. Will's here, so if you guys have any questions or...
Any questions on that item?
If there are none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Oops.
Second.
Maria and Dennis, a roll call vote, please.
Trustee McBride?
Aye.
Trustee Marcus?
Aye.
Trustee Diaz-Locum?
Yes.
Vice President McAvoy?
Yes.
President Lawson?
Aye. Item 10.3, recommendation approval of new flooring proposal with Mohawk for Roosevelt School Building E. Wait, we didn't do 10.2, did we?
No.
Okay, let's go back to 10.2. I'm skipping ahead. Approval of flooring abatement proposal with coast-wide environmental for Roosevelt School. Wait, yeah, School Building E. Okay.
Does anyone have any questions?
If there are none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
So, second.
Okay, Cecilia and Elisa, can we have a roll call vote?
Trustee McBride?
Aye.
Trustee Marcus?
Aye.
Trustee Diaz-Locum?
Aye.
Vice President McAvoy?
Aye.
President Lawson?
Aye. Okay, now 10.3, approval of new flooring proposal with Mohawk for Roosevelt School Building E. Were there any questions? None. So is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Maria?
Second.
Elisa, thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee McBride,
Aye.
Trustee Marquez,
Aye.
Trustee Diaz-Solcom,
Aye.
Vice President McAvoy,
Aye.
President Lawson.
Aye. And our final bond action item is 10.4, approval of bond program advisor amendment number 6 with the Shonig Group. Are there any questions on that or comments?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. If you go back to when we engaged Sarah, it was because all that work that Sarah's doing, Dawn would have to do, and Dawn didn't have the capacity, and she is more than paid for herself with all the analysis and all the budget work she's doing. So this is partly just to thank her for all of her hard work and diligence, and also at the same time thank Don and his team for all they do.
Yeah, I think she's just been phenomenal and really great to work with.
Very much agreed, and I'll pass that on to her.
Thank you. So do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Oops. Second.
Dennis and Maria, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee McBride,
Aye.
Trustee Marquez,
Aye.
Trustee Diaz-Solcom,
Aye.
Vice President McAvoy,
Aye.
President Lawson.
Aye. Okay, moving on to discussion items. 11.1, discussion on COVID-19.
Okay, I'm going to begin this evening, and what I'm going to start with is definitely every week the superintendents meet with the County Superintendent of Education for San Mateo County. And at the last meeting that we had, it was brought to our attention that the framework guide that we are going to use to reopen schools in the fall is going to be shared with the superintendents on Monday, May 11th. So that's next week on Monday. With that being said, the County Office of Education has been working diligently with members of school districts within the county. We have a representative from our school district that attends, and there are a couple superintendents that sit on this group also that are creating the guide along with the people from the health department and the county superintendent. So with that being said, I want to make you all aware that definitely when this comes forward, I will make sure that each of you get a copy of those guidelines. That's number one. And then number two, I will be selecting a committee, a reopening committee that we have to come up with a plan. And that's part of the guidelines that were mentioned on Monday, that committee has to exist. And they are naming who should be on the committee. And I will bring that information forward to you also, and you'll have it. So that's number one. Number two is the county superintendent, Nancy McGee, did say that she was going to put forth a letter out for us district superintendents to write to our community, to our parents and teachers and staff, indicating that when schools begin, they are not going to begin, as Governor Newsom did say, either late July, early August. Every district already has negotiated a calendar with their unions. And so that date for opening for the beginning school day will exist as was voted on by our unions, and then also presented to the board, and you also voted on that date. So our date is August 19th, so that everybody just has that right now. So I will, as soon as she sends us the language that she would like us to use in the letter, I will get that out to the community as soon as possible. That's number two. Number three, an item that we talked about at great length at the meeting was all this PPE equipment that we're going to need to purchase to open schools. And with that being said, the County Office of Ed is going to take the first steps of ordering a lot of the items in large bulk quantities. And the 23 districts within San Mateo County can get our PPE from them, and they will invoice us. So we'll just order from them and invoice us, at least to get us started for the first few months of school. We're all thinking, after we had the conversation and we all got off our Zoom meeting, then we all started texting one another, the superintendent saying, why does we should have the county just do it all year long, and then we just get our materials from them and be invoiced. So we're going to bring that up to Nancy at the next meeting that we have with her. So that's very important. And then there was a large discussion by many of us on the cleaning of classrooms and what that's going to look like. I know Catherine Stewart just brought up the fogger, that portable little machine that you see maybe in the news, that you see that the airlines are using in the airplanes. That issue was brought up, and also the issues of making sure that our staff is also kept healthy while they're doing the cleaning of the classrooms, making sure the chemicals that they're using are chemicals that definitely are not detrimental to their health. So that's something that we're also going to have to think about what that looks like. So those plans will be evolving. Everyone will be aware of what those plans are. And when the committee is put in place, what I will do is let all of you know and the community know also. The guidelines, I'm hoping that once you see them and staff see them, the cabinet staff at the district office, that I can probably put these guidelines also online so that parents can also see them. I know the county is going to put the guidelines on their website, but I think once we get them, we can also put them there. They are a draft, and at this point they are a draft because the superintendents have not given any feedback yet. So that's item number one, the guide. The next piece is that we have been discussing as a cabinet that we have many library books out in the community that our students took when we started our distance learning. And so we are thinking that starting the week of May 18th, Kyle is going to put together a schedule for when the library books can come back to school sites and just leave them at the libraries. It's not that they're going to have any contact with the library technician, but there'll be, the library technician will be there and probably either boxes or tables, and that's where the books will be left, so that they can have time to take those books, check them back in, catalog them, and then we'll be ready for the fall when school starts. The other piece that we're talking about in regard to COVID-19 is the Chromebooks and the hotspots. So as we all know, school ends that last day is the 5th of June, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check my calendar just to make sure. Yep, last day is the 5th of June. So we were thinking that we would put together a schedule of returning the Chromebooks and the hotspots, probably starting on May 28th. And with that being said, we were also thinking, and that's what cabinet members and other staff members that sit on cabinet, we're thinking that that would be a good time for us also to, if needed, to provide some professional development for our teachers if we were to stop distance learning, say maybe the 4th, which is a Wednesday. Part of what I've heard from other counties, part of the plan that you must have included to reopen school is a plan for a blended model of distance learning and face-to-face learning in the classroom. And if that plan is something that needs to be in place, we believe as cabinet that there are teacher professional development that would need to occur prior to the time of them leaving. And we'd also want to get opinion from the teachers of what further training they will need with this blended model, if that's the direction in which a lot of districts will be going. As you all know, school will not be as we all have loved it in the past, where all children come to school. The first day of school, they're all there, and they're with their bright, shiny smiling faces, meeting their teacher, meeting the principals, meeting other friends. It's going to be different. Not everybody will be together at the same time. The guidelines that are being set forth, if you look at them at this time, they are for social distancing, 6 feet apart. And then also you should have no more right now, what the guidelines say, especially for childcare. It's 1 adult to 12 students. It's the recommendation by us in San Mateo County to the health department to see if they will allow us to have 16 students in the classroom at a time. Whether that will occur or not, I don't know. As you know, the 6 Bay Area counties that are working very closely together on making sure that we all have the same type of social distancing protocols, the guidelines when one opens schools. There are 6 of us that are working close together. So it is a hope that it will be more than 12 students and hopefully 16. But then what that's going to look like is that AM, PM, is it Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then Friday it's a total distance learning, a blended model? We don't know. So stay tuned for more, because that is something that we will start working on as soon as the guidelines come out. The other items that we have been discussing, and I know we are very fortunate to have very creative administrators at each of our school sites. And so that's promotion ceremonies. I know Wendy Kelly has been working with the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade principals on the different types of promotion ceremonies that they can have. And Wendy, why don't I let you explain that portion that discussion that you've had with the administrators.
So the administrators are really excited to be able to coordinate something special for students. We spoke specifically about 8th grade, but of course 5th grade was also mentioned as a time to honor the milestones that students have made as they've progressed over the years. And so last Friday, I hosted a Google Meet where we all got on a call, vice principals, principals from all the sites represented, and brainstormed different ideas of what would be appropriate given social distancing and also celebrating with students. And every principal is working with their either PTOs or other groups in order to make sure that this event is recognized in an appropriate way. It looks right now as if the leading decision is to have a virtual promotion ceremony with videos of students, pictures of students, student speeches, things we would traditionally find, but in a virtual setting. And then also having a time for students to come to campus to pick up yearbooks and certificates and so forth, you know, in an appropriate way, of course, honoring social distancing and so forth. So that was a part of the large discussion. But everyone is planning something. They do want this to make it a memorable occasion. We do have principals that were ordering yard signs for students as well, like you might see around the high school age group, but wanted something similar like that for the 8th graders as well, certainly as they go off to high school next year. So there are plans in place. I'm really proud. They had so many ideas already, and this is the time of year where all of those details are being worked out. So they are working on their individual plans, and we'll be in communication if there's things that the board can attend as well, virtually, of course.
Great, thank you. And then Linda's been very busy this past week. Because of COVID-19, we're doing PDs totally differently. So NUA is working with our cohort 1 and our cohort 2 schools. So I'm going to have Linda enlighten you a bit about the different types of PD that they've had, not only last week, but it's also continuing this week.
Great. Thank you. Well, hello, everyone. So we began work with the National Urban Alliance a year and a half ago, and at this time of the year, we would have had mentors from the NUA come to the schools and work with our current cohort group of the 3 sites, Hoover, Garfield, and Roosevelt. And they would have been co-planning and co-teaching lessons and providing feedback and using specific strategies for the larger frame of culturally responsive teaching techniques and strategies, and through the lens of the National Urban Alliance. And so we continued with that, except we're just doing it online. And so teachers are deepening their understanding of specific strategies, and then next week and this week begin lesson planning, actually, and seeing how those lessons and strategies can function in this setting. So not only is it about culturally responsive teaching, but also about how we can build collaboration and relationships with students here using this virtual platform, because we know without strong student connections to school that no learning can really take place. And so we need to continue to build those connections with students. And so there's lots of discussion around that. And then also equally exciting, we started a new group of schools, which is our cohort 2, and they are having an introduction to what is National Urban Alliance, how to looking at high operational practices that elicit high intellectual performance in all of our students, and a deep belief that through effective instruction and high operational practices that all students can succeed. And then that's the main emphasis of our work and around equity. So it's been pretty exciting. We've had in the morning sessions about 70 some people, in the afternoon about 50 some people, and it's 3 hours long in front of a Zoom conference and PD session, but excellent. The presenters are excellent, well received, and we have lots of good response. It's been really nice. Definitely takes a lot of time from the teacher, so it's a big commitment for them to be on, but it's fun. We do large group sessions, small group sessions, so that's being modeled, ways we can have students work on group projects. So it's been really nice, and it offers us, I think, an opportunity to think about how we provide our own professional development, even outside of this time, but in the future, what that could look like. So that's been really exciting. And in addition, our district has been invited to participate in a conference through NUA that will take place in June, at the end of June. So we have about 20 people attending, and it'll be all virtual. So so it's nice. So thank you. And hopefully they'll come and do a little presentation also, I think, to the board soon.
Right, in June. Yep, definitely. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
So does anyone have any questions? I just want to say, the teachers are doing an amazing job. They never signed up for anything like this. They're used to being in front of their classroom with those kids, and you get a lot of joy and gratitude, especially when a kid gets it. And so that, you're what you've done, you've made your point, they understand, and they move forward. And it's a lot of gratitude that one receives from that, from them just understanding what you're trying to teach. So I just want to thank every teacher out there, every staff member that's working with kids, and what they're doing now is totally exceptional. I know they've been sending some of you, because I get copies of them, and I know you get copies of some of the lessons that they're doing with the kids. So it's really great to see them.
Oh, I forgot to add. Can I add something? This is
Sure.
a really nice opportunity for many of our classified staff, because it happens to be online virtually, and we have the space, I guess, and time to be able to do this. A lot of our schools have been inviting their office managers and office assistants and classified staff. So it's been wonderful to have them a part of our conversations too. So they've been attending the training, which is great. We would never have had that opportunity. So it's great.
Yeah, that is wonderful, because during the time when we have the trainings, the teachers are away, but the office staff stays, to be there at the school site. And again, just a big shout out to all the teachers this week, because it is Teacher Appreciation Week, and we're so fortunate to have the staff that we have right now in the classrooms. We're very, very, very fortunate. I'm so proud of each and all of them. They're just doing a fantastic job.
Dennis, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I know the answer, Dr. Baker, but for attendees, can you explain why you want to go from the county recommendation of 12 to the 16? Because I think that's important for people to understand.
It's not only myself, it's all superintendents that would like to go from 12 to 16. 12 is great, is a great number, but 16, we want to touch as many students as we can. And we figure 10 is very small, 12, a little bigger, but 16, it's at least half the class. It's not half our class size. Our class sizes are 30, so, or 31 at the max, which we don't want to get to 31. But 16, Dennis, is a great size that I think is manageable for a teacher with the precautions that one needs to take with the social distancing, and then also how we have to make sure that when the children are going to and from the bathroom, we have to be able to account for that, make sure that it's done in a manner in which it's social distancing again, but also that it's not that herd mentality. And 16, I think we all agreed as superintendents that was a great number to have in the classroom during this time when we come back. I know there are going to be a lot of concerns and questions from not only staff, but parents in regard to this. What I'm hoping to do is just to put out a survey to parents to get an idea of, when we go to this model, what are the support systems they are hoping that we will have in place. Because this is a new territory for all of us. And with that being said, I need to make sure that that when children are at home for the distance learning, what does that mean for the parent? And then if that is unable to occur in the fashion that we want it to, is there something else we can pivot to meet the need? So the survey will give us an idea of how many children actually have the capacity to do distance learning, how many children it's not going to work for a variety of reasons, and how are we going to meet the needs of those children whose parents don't have the option to work at home. And understanding that the high school district is also going to be working in the same fashion with smaller class sizes. Is there something that I could do with the high school district? And Dr. Stretchley and I have been talking, where we see families that are in both our districts. There's an older sibling, younger sibling. We have the older, we have the younger. Is there some way we can accommodate the timing when kids are coming to school, especially when parents are working and don't have the option to work at home? So these are all questions that I'm trying to get some type of response to. And with the survey that I'll send home, I hope I can get some information back.
Thank you. I think if my math's correct, if you do 12, then students would personally be in class like 1 every 3 days. And if you do 16, kids could potentially be in class every other day.
Correct.
And so that's part of the 16, I believe.
Right. And the other piece was 16, you can still social distance. You can social distance. We were all concerned about that. And was the health department going to allow us to make that 6 feet smaller, like 4? We don't believe that they're going to go in that direction. But the gist of our conversation was that Dr. Morrow was amenable to go from 12 to 16. And so we'll find out. Any other questions from the board?
So Dr. Baker, I'm sorry if I missed this. With knowing that next year is going to include distance learning, is there a plan for professional development for the teachers?
Yes, and so that's why I suggested, and also working with Cabinet, that if we stop the distance learning, say we stop on dates that I had here. which got papers all over. So school ends on the 5th. So if we were to stop the distance learning on the 4th, then we would have the 5th, the 6th, and I think the last day for teachers is the 9th, if I'm not it's the 8th, if I'm not mistaken, I think. We would have that time to do professional development with the teachers, to also know where is it they need more support in the distance learning. And I would suggest to our members of staff development to give us that information. So that's where we would put the trainings into place.
Great, thank you. Were there any other board members that had questions or comments? None? Okay. It looks like none.
I actually have one. So Dr. Baker talked about, yesterday was National Teachers Day. And again, the teachers are amazing, but I think we should really thank every single employee, every classified, every cabinet member, every principal, every assistant principal, every office manager, because everybody, as Dr. Baker said, nobody signed up for this, and everybody's working so hard and caring so much. And it's just really, as a board member, it makes me really proud to see everybody stepping up. So thank you.
Yeah, I want to second that sentiment. I think it's just been incredible to see the way the entire district was able to just pivot in a day. And, we thought it was going to be 2 weeks, and here we are. I think it's week 7. If you don't include spring break, I have a counter going on my whiteboard at home. And so I just think it's incredible what everybody's done. And I know you're exhausted, and I know you're doing everything you can. We know it's not perfect, but it's a new normal that we're going to learn and do even better next year. So thank you to all the staff, all the teachers, everybody in the district office. It's been incredible. And I feel like, I don't get to go into the classrooms anymore. I don't get to, see the kids either. And so I love getting to see what the teachers are doing in class when they email us, some video clips or pictures. It's been really great to keep up with what's going on in the classroom.
So I also wanted to say thank you very much. I know it is Teacher Appreciation Week. I want to say thank you to the teachers, thank you to the classified, our administrators, just everybody. I know how hard you've all been working. And I did want to mention that I'm working with the city of Redwood City, who wants to do a proclamation thanking all of our teachers and staff, and that will be Monday, May 18th. So for those of you who want to tune in to that meeting, it'll probably be at the beginning of the meeting, but you can always look at the agenda, and more on that to come. And I will be talking to Kevin Sugar and Maria Stockton if they're on the line as well, to make sure that you're aware of that and your staff is aware of that. So that's a nice thing of the city, to want to thank the school district just for all we're doing. And then finally, I just want to say, in addition, let's thank our parent teachers right now. I think they're getting a little taste of what our teachers and staff go through year after year. And I think we're all appreciating the whole educational system that much more. So just thanks to everybody who's pulling their weight and doing what we can to help support the students in this time of change. So thank you so much.
Okay, if there's nothing else, Dr. Baker, do you want to move on to 11.2?
Yes, 11.2. I'm going to turn this section over. First, I'll turn it over to Linda, since she handles the TK through 5, and let her discuss her portion there for grading. And then after that, Wendy can take on the 6 through 8. Okay, so Dr. Montes.
Thank you. So definitely has been a challenging time for parents, students, teachers, as we moved into this at-home learning experience. And in trying to find an equitable way to ensure that we're providing the feedback for students. We looked at different options. So we met with some lead teachers and got some feedback. In addition, we sent a survey to the teachers to see what would be the best way to provide feedback to their students. And definitely the challenges are right now is we still have students whom for various reasons, aren't consistently connecting with their teachers or turning in assignments. Definitely having students who might need the technology support and such, and parents who might need that. And so although we've been providing a lot of professional development, not only to the teachers, we've also been supporting students. The teachers have been working with parents. I saw a little video that teacher sent me as they were working with a little group of parents, and teaching them how to just navigate. And so for all these challenges, we wanted some way to be able to provide feedback and acknowledge that students are working hard, teachers are working hard, in a way that wouldn't require grading per se, right? Because at this point, it could negatively impact some students. And so given options that we gave to the teachers during a survey, the majority of teachers, I think you read there, more than 60% of the teachers who were surveyed, and there was about, I think, 150 who responded of our TK through 5th grade teachers, recommended that for this final grading period, we provide comments to families. And so the majority of them would like to just write comments. So in that last grading period, rather than to put a score on how students did, rather it would be a collective kind of general statement on how students are, where they could have been, where they were in March, and specific recommendations for them for upon return. And so, and we agreed. We met with the teachers. We reviewed the results. And what we're also doing in the staff development is providing, and I think Kyle is helping to add these part of a drop-down menu that certain selections would apply. One, that this particular grading period is affected by COVID-19, general statement. And then from there, the teachers can create their own comments that will go in that comment section. And so that will be the final report card. So the intent is, after our discussion, if we agree, that these would be open on Monday, so teachers can begin working on these report cards. So I don't know if you have any questions. Oh, please.
I'll continue with 6-8, and then maybe we can field questions from the board if need be. So similar to the survey that Linda produced, the 6th through 8th grade teachers were also given a survey to share their input. You know, grading is really one of the predominant tasks of teachers to do, to give feedback to students, etc. And we recognize that the report card is the communication tool to report progress made during this time. So I'm appreciative of all of the input. We had 66% of teachers in 6th through 8th grade provide input, special ed teachers, general ed teachers, so that we could document what we think was most fair during this time. One teacher pointed out in one of her comments that if we give grades now, we're grading for privilege. And that was a really telling sentiment, actually, throughout some of the comments that teachers were making. So this idea of what we were held to in the 6-8 is the Power School markings that were available. So we couldn't be very creative in some of the ideas that came forth. Our system in Power School allows us for a no grade or a pass-fail or a pass/incomplete. And pass/incomplete was what the most favorable outcome was on the survey. So that was our recommendation for 6th through 8th grade, with, of course, comments. The typical teacher comments that are made for each of the content areas is what's going to be recommended for teachers. So we do have a little bit of an issue in the sense that we didn't stop grading until later in March, or at least teachers putting grades in the grade book, if not even later, because we were waiting for this board approval. So we will need to have teachers go back and convert in Power School with percentages such as like 59% or lower would be the incomplete, so to speak, and then 60% or higher could be considered pass, just for the purposes of accommodating our Power School technology platform. So, so once again, similar to the information that Linda provided, I'm really pleased that the teachers participated. We know it's not a fair process. We know it's actually not reflecting those kids that are absolutely turning everything in, doing just amazing work as well. It doesn't really honor that work, but it's also trying to mitigate the differences that we have throughout our district and accommodating those that are not able to put full attention to their studies like we would want them to as well, because they need to be doing other things. One major concern we have in the middle school is the fact that we have our middle school students essentially helping younger students with homework or babysitting or what have you, and that's causing a lot of distraction in many cases for even getting to the assignment. So anyway, we think that the pass incomplete is a very fair compromise to the solution. Any questions from the board?
Go ahead. I think Elisa, did you?
Yeah, I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you very much. I really appreciate the process you went through in surveying the teachers and the thoughtful comments that came out of this. And I totally agree that just from an equity standpoint and, you know, the diversity of what's going on in people's homes right now, both on the end of our students, our parents, our family members, our staff, everybody is under a lot of stress. And I just think that this allows us some breathing room. And hopefully what kids will be doing is concentrating on learning and the curiosity of learning and the love of learning, and a little less intense for the parents or the family members who are trying to help them. I mean, basically everything you just said. And I think it's, you know, the similar discussion that other districts are having near us, and the high school district did go pass fail as well. We're doing pass and complete, which is a little bit different because you don't really fail a grade, you move on, you're promoted regardless. So anyway, I just think it's a really great decision, and I'm very happy that you moved in that direction. So thank you.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Hi, Wendy. Thank you very much. One of the things that would be helpful, I think, to talk about is what documents move on to the high school.
So the report card will be moving on. We send data to the high school every year that's comprised of data that we transfer from Power School. So that captures the students' grades, attendance records, etc. But for this particular situation, in this case, the report card would be sent, and Kyle is attaching a statement about this time period. And so that's something that, of course, obviously the high schools are aware of. Another point I wanted to mention about middle school is the honor roll. You know, people look at GPA, so obviously we won't be counting in this last trimester, of course, or for honor roll recognition and so forth, it would be essentially absent. But all of those records do transfer to certainly Sequoia and other high school as we transfer files over as students progress to the next school that they'll be attending.
Okay, and then a follow-up, if I may. My understanding is that the way you're placed in your high school classes isn't your grades, it's actually a test you take for English and math. Is that still correct?
Right, there's actually a compilation of factors, primarily the high school placement tests that were given in December and January for language arts and math. And then teachers complete forms to contribute placement to the high school. And then the high school does look at the 7th grade CASP tests for final placements for students.
So the point is, by us doing this, we're not harming or jeopardizing students' placement in high school classes.
No, certainly not for public schools. And even for private schools, usually decisions are made prior to the June report card, of course. And I would like to think that people are going to be commiserative about this situation, since so many people are in the same predicament in terms of reporting grades.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Wendy, also at the high school, at least at the public high school, I think parents can also ask for a different class. So if, the high school district recommends whatever class, whether it's an advanced class or a medium class or whatever, that the parent also can ask for a different class, right?
Yes, there is what's called an override system, where a parent simply needs to write a letter. Although the high school has congratulated our district and primarily our teachers for such accurate placements. So I would circle back with the classroom teacher if a parent is considering that idea.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Cecilia or Maria? Go ahead, Cecilia.
So I also, like Alyssa said, because of equity issues, or I think if we do go with the recommendation from what Wendy and Linda are saying, it is to the best interest for our students. And again, when it does come up for the 8th graders moving on to the high school district, again, yes, the parents can actually write a letter to the counselor telling them whether they want their student to take a higher class or not at so advanced class because they don't feel comfortable. So that's actually a nice choice. But yeah, I agree with the decision.
Okay, thank you. So this is just a discussion item. We're not taking action on this. So I think we're just hearing what the district's plan is going forward. So thank you, Linda and Wendy.
You're welcome. So I do believe that there might be a follow-up resolution, John. I have to read that. I think I read that in.
I think there has to be a resolution so you can bring it to the next board meeting.
Correct. Yes, this was just discussion today.
Right.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
We can move on to, well, so item 11.3 and 11.4 have been pulled for a future meeting. So we're on to consent items. Our motion to approve?
So moved.
Dennis?
Second.
Second. Oops.
I think we got Elisa in there first.
Yep.
So it was Dennis and Elisa. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee McBride?
Aye.
Trustee Marquez?
Aye.
Trustee Diaz-Slocum?
Aye.
Vice President McAvoy?
Aye.
President Lawson?
Aye. Thank you. Item 13.1, adoption of resolution 26. Did anybody have any questions or comments? Wendy, I don't know if you wanted to speak to that. That was your item?
I do, thank you. So this particular situation, we do have a reduction in funding from grants that normally would have come in to support a community school coordinator position through Patti Ortiz's budget and so forth that she oversees. So there was in this particular resolution, there is a request to accept the reduction of 1 FTE for community school coordinator. That being said, we've had a vacancy at Hoover, so no personnel is affected by this. We are able to move people around in order to fill that vacancy, but it would be a reduction for this one particular position.
Any questions?
Yes, so just a comment that I had asked Wendy a question earlier today, and the goal of the district is to replace the Hoover Community School Coordinator position. So it is a reduction overall, but we'll still have a community school coordinator at each of the 5 community schools, correct?
Right. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? No? Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Maria?
Second.
Elisa? Can we have a roll call vote?
Trustee McBride? Trustee McBride?
You're muted.
See, I'm just doing great Zoom behaviors here. Aye.
Trustee Marquez? Trustee Marquez?
Wait, is she here? Did she drop off?
Like she dropped off.
Okay.
Trustee Diaz-Slocum?
Aye.
Vice President McAvoy?
Aye.
President Lawson?
Aye. Okay, moving on to 13.2. This is approval of teachers gaining tenured status. We do have one speaker's card on this, but Wendy, did you want to speak first?
I do, actually. I think this is such an exciting time, and so appropriate in this week of Teacher Appreciation Week to honor our probationary 2 teachers that are moving into tenure on the first day of next year. It's such an exciting time. We're thrilled that they have met, chose, and decided to love our CSD, so it's very exciting for us. And we have quite a few in the audience, in the attendees section, I should say, which I've been just noting here they decided, we sent them a congratulatory email. Their principals were CC'd, and everyone is really celebrating this exciting moment for them to bring their names to the board for consideration for this first day of when we return next year. And so I did see, you have a list in front of you. There are quite a few names here. But we have in the audience with us today, Julia Federico Youngs at Kennedy, our music teacher, who I'm sure you heard a lot from when we were going through the kindergarten nights and so forth, and the Meet, Choose, Love. She brought the band and so forth. That was great. We have Jacob Havey, who is the 4th grade teacher at North Star. He's a bundle of energy and so much fun to watch him in his classes. I walked in a couple ELA classes, so much fun to watch him in action, my goodness. We have Kay Hugh, who is at the Mandarin Immersion program. And some of these people, as you know, I hired in my first year of HR, so it's so much fun to see them move to this next exciting level. We also have Jessa McLean, a 6'8" SDC teacher at Kennedy, who is just amazing with her students. Is just, if I could clone her, I would every moment of the day. She's so exciting and the impact that she makes for her students as well. And I wanted to just really recognize all of the teachers here that I'd love to go through the list, but I know we have a concern about time for tonight's meeting. But there's so many people here to recognize, representing all of the schools in Redwood City. And we're thrilled to welcome them back next year when we open our doors, or virtually or in person, for them to return to us. So anyway, it's an exciting moment to be able to celebrate that tonight.
Thank you. Did anybody else want to say anything before we take a speaker's card?
Yeah, I would. I'm just thrilled. A lot of these names, I did not know they were second-year teachers when I visited their classroom earlier in the year, and they're so energetic and care so much about the kids, and just, I mean, they excite the kids, they excite me, and so I'm just thrilled to see these names. I'd like to also ask if we could do a little different for approval and have all board members be the first and all board members be the second, given how cool this list is and the times we're in. Just a thought.
If we're allowed to do that, I'm fine with that.
And I also would just like to say congratulations to all of those on the list. And in case there's anyone else in the audience who's on the list who we didn't catch your name because maybe you called in with the phone number or something like that, congratulations. And we're so happy that you've chosen our district. And I look forward to when maybe we can have a meeting where you could come, because usually we'll have a meeting where we get to shake your hands and say hi to you, and you get a certificate and all that sort of thing. So maybe at some point we can have more of a celebration. But really, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you again next year. Thanks.
Janet? I would also like to add my congratulations to everyone. And it's just as you all said, so thrilling to have them stay with us and to choose to stay with us. It's just great that they have adapted so well to their environment. And it's really great to have it this week, you know, because of being Teacher Week. So congratulations to everyone, and I hope to see you in person soon.
Cecilia, you unmuted. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, so the same thing. Congratulations to everybody. It's a really big accomplishment. You do work really hard to get to this point, and you know, moving forward, we could together make a Redwood City community much stronger. So I appreciate all your help. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just echo all of that. It's just, it's really exciting to see all these names on the list, and I do know some of you, and it's just we have a great group, and this is really exciting time for you guys and for our district. Dr. Baker, did you want to say anything right now?
I just want to echo everything that everyone else has said. I mean, we're so fortunate to have teachers that come and work for the Redwood City School District. You know, I've always said this over and over again, you know, Redwood City is always that little gem that keeps going and going and going. And we, no matter what comes in front of us, we tackle it and we move forward and we do a great job of it. So thank you for choosing Redwood City, and also thank you for staying with us.
Can I make one more comment, please? I think we should thank Wendy for hiring all these wonderful teachers.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll take our speakers card now. So Kevin Sugar. Kyle will unmute you, hopefully, and all right, Kevin, go ahead.
Thank you. Welcome. Well, thank you very much, School Board Trustees. Kevin Sugar, President, Redwood City Teachers Association, and I too would like to welcome each of these teachers. Many of them I had the privilege of teaching with at Roosevelt and saw incredible talent at such a young age. Was just, as a 25-year veteran, just a wonderful sight to see. I want to welcome you all to this incredible profession, honorable and justifiable and beautiful and maddening all at the same time. Welcome to Redwood City, a place that my children have gone through, that my wife and I, Lisa Sugar, and I have made a career from, and I have known many of the people here, still here, for all these years. Welcome to Redwood City, and welcome to your future. Take good care, everybody. I hope to see you soon.
Yay. Thank you, Kevin. We did have one more card come in from Michelle Griffith.
What? Where is she?
Hi, Michelle, you're unmuted. Go ahead. Michelle, are you there? Well, I guess I can read the comment that she wrote on the card. If I can scroll. Just want to say that Redwood City School District and Garfield are so very lucky to tenure Mr. Schaefer and Ms. Logie. They are amazing. So thank you, Michelle, for that. With that said, no other comments. Dennis, how do you want to do this?
I would like to have us all as a board approve, be the first and the second on this wonderful list.
Does everyone agree? Can I get a thumbs up on that? All right, so we're all a first, we're all a second. Do we want to do a voice vote or roll call, or everybody say wahoo?
Woo!
All right, thank you. Congratulations to all the tenured teachers. We're going to move on to 13.3, discussion approval of board policy 5022, student and family privacy rights.
Thank you. So we have a series of board policies. Some of these I think these next few we have reviewed already, and we're bringing them back because through our federal program monitoring process, there was specific language that they were looking for that needs to be added. As you know, we pull ours from California State Board Association, School Board Association, sorry. And so for whatever reason, it doesn't always match what the federal government is looking for, and so that's what we've been asked to include. And so what you see is some information that is now, anything that is in bold has been added as per the recommendation for our federal monitoring. So for this particular one, student family rights, there was a large section that included information for regarding immigration and families' privacy rights in regards to immigration laws. So those are pretty much that particular one. And for some of these, we are asking if possible to review and approve tonight, because if we can upload these now this week, that would be ideal. And I know that we might need to be pending the board minutes for these, but at least if we put these up, they can be part of our evidence that we've complied with these elements that are part of educational equity section of our review. I don't know if there's any questions. I did include some feedback. I know Dennis responded and provided some feedback. I know Cecilia, thank you for providing feedback. She catches all kinds of things. I don't know if Jerry and I think this is what you do in your other life too. It's all these board policies. So she catches a lot of these areas that are that we miss. So thank you. And I also want to thank Jen and Lisa. It's been hard now because we can't talk, we can't meet. It's all done online, and we kind of go back and forth. And then so thank you both. I know that's a lot of more time just going back and forth and trying to review everything. And of course, Jerry was keeping us all sane. So any questions on this particular one? Really, it had to do with some additional items for immigration and privacy rights regards to immigration.
There's no questions. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Is that Elisa first?
Yes.
Okay, Elisa and Maria, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee McBride?
Aye.
Trustee Marquez?
Aye.
Trustee Diaz-Locum?
Aye.
Vice President McAvoy?
Aye.
President Lawson?
Aye. Thank you. So we're on 13.4. Discussion and approval of board policy 5125 student records.
Okay. So this one in particular also for student records, those sections that are in bold are highlighted. Again, it referred to immigration and citizenship status and not having that information collected. And if it were collected, that we would not discriminate against any student in their status. And it also included a section where we would not keep any particular information regarding any of the protected groups. And so ours, we needed to add a couple of gender, sexual orientation, and race as part of that paragraph. And I believe that those were the only changes on that one. So there were not very many changes at all on this one.
So just for clarification, I thought at the beginning of the meeting, that was one of the ones John had mentioned it was going to be pulled. Was that, did I just mark it wrong?
No.
Not this one.
No.
No, it was 11.3 and 11.4.
Okay, not 13.4.
It's on student records. Any questions? These were just recently reviewed too. We just had to add the two protected class. And although our immigration policy had these in there, these statements in the immigration policy, they wanted them replicated also in these other areas. So that's why you see these. Any questions?
No, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
So that was Cecilia and Dennis. Can we have a roll call vote?
Trustee McBride?
Aye.
Trustee Marquez?
Aye.
Trustee Diaz-Locum?
Aye.
Vice President McAvoy?
Aye.
President Lawson?
Aye. Item 13.5.
So this, sorry, so this particular, sorry, am I interrupting? So in this particular item, there were some sections that were in our ARs that needed to be moved up to the actual board policy. And then we needed again to ensure that we wouldn't disclose student information, etc. So the larger section is there in the front page, that first page there. And then some of the headings were different than what we previously had in the AR, so that had to be adjusted. But otherwise, the contents of the AR were the same. So truly, it was moving some of the sections of the AR up to the board policy main section. So any questions?
So moved.
Elisa,
Second,
who was that?
Cecilia.
Cecilia.
Cecilia, thank you. It was Elisa and Cecilia. Can we have a roll call vote?
Trustee McBride,
Aye.
Trustee Marcus,
Aye.
Trustee Diaz-Solcombe,
Aye.
Vice President McAvoy,
Aye.
President Lawson.
Aye. And our final action item 13.6, board policy on conflict of interest.
Mhm. So this particular one, again, we just reviewed, but what they needed was specific language that we would have an annual training for all employees from which this applies, and that we would be required to sign a certification of understanding after the training. And so annually at the beginning of every year we do training. And we could create a little video. I don't know if there's something already created that we could just share out, we all watch. But regardless of the training, we would just keep records of a sign-in sheet and the minutes and agenda that we completed the annual training for the conflict of interest policy. And so that's the main piece. Dennis?
Yeah, thank you for this. Linda and I talked about this will actually apply to board members as well, that will have training, which I think is good. This is a really minor thing on page 2, it's not paginating correctly. But the bigger question is, last board meeting, we had a teacher imply that Cecilia could not vote on the name of the school because she had children there. And, you know, in my 17 years, and probably Maria, you're 19, and Lisa, you're 12, we've never had that as an issue. So do we want to put this in the policy? I appreciate this is CSBA, and this may be something we do afterwards because you want to get this done for federal monitoring. But I don't think we've ever said to a board member, you can't vote on something that's going on in your school. And so do we want to just legitimize that by having it in the conflict policy?
I don't remember it either. I think I have recused myself just as a precaution, but we've never had any problems since I've been on the board.
But I'll go back, like when Hillary was on the board, Lisa had children here, Shelley. Nobody ever recused themselves that I remember.
Not for that, no.
Well, I think, I mean, the conflict of interest is meant more for sort of a money situation, isn't it? I mean, I think that's the bigger issue, that we're not taking personal gain with the conflict.
Exactly. It's all about the finances, for sure.
Yeah. So we as a board could add on to that if we wanted to, right? Is that what you're suggesting? Because that would be an add-on. That's not a legal requirement. Right. Right. And I do remember, well, actually, but she would have been, yeah, never mind. Yeah, I don't know if I'm prepared to have that conversation tonight.
So maybe take it back.
I don't know. Yeah. I think, you know, I think we'd want to think, actually, maybe the policy committee, we could talk a little bit about it. Or we could bring it back to the whole board, however we want to do it. But I'm just thinking we might want to think through what are the pros and cons, and maybe think through some cases, because you wouldn't want to get to a situation where you wouldn't have a quorum on something. So is it if your kids are there currently, or if they ever went there? I mean, right now it wouldn't be as much of an issue because we have 2 parents at 2 different schools. But what if you had 5 school board members at different? I don't know. It might be more complicated than.
Oh no, I'm fine approving this and then having the committee go back. I mean, you can carry this all the way to the extreme and say a board member can't vote on salary increases because it impacts teachers at their child's school. So I mean, you can get really carried away really quick. So
very murky if you start doing that. So yeah, no, I think we should go forward with this, and then the policy committee can look at what that might look like, and maybe we need to talk to one of the attorneys.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is our practice has been, we have not required people to recuse themselves.
Right. So I do think there are two different ones, because this really is about material financial interest as the whole part. This is a business. This is one that's specifically for the business fiscal monitoring one, actually. So if that's, I don't know if there's another. I can look to see if there's another board policy that speaks to what you're talking about, Dennis.
Yeah, I couldn't find it.
Okay.
We can see if maybe CSBA already has something that we don't have.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on this one? The addition is just to be clear that if anybody were to not comply, then they speak to Dr. Baker and have some kind of a formal agreement on that. And so that was the other part that was missing from our previous one. We had to just be able to state exactly what the implications are if we don't follow the policy. Okay. So those were the only two changes, actually.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Oops. I think Dennis and Maria, since the camera picked up Maria. Can we have a roll call vote?
Trustee McBride.
Aye.
Trustee Marquez.
Aye.
Trustee Diaz-Locum.
Aye.
Vice President McAvoy.
Aye.
President Lawson.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. And Jerry, oh my goodness, she keeps us grounded. Elisa, were you gonna say something? Okay, moving on to reports from board members and superintendent. Who would like to go first? Or you can make me call on you.
I don't have any.
Thanks, Maria.
I don't have anything either.
I have something.
Go ahead, Dennis.
So this is a huge shout out to, I believe, a parent, a woman named Elizabeth Laluli. His company and his company's name is Laluli in Burlingame, and they're donating 13-inch and 15-inch MacBook Pros, 13-inch MacBook Air laptops, and it'll be probably in excess of 10 items. And I'm picking them up Friday from her. And she's worked really hard. She had her IT department go through and do what they needed to do. And then she personally tried to use every one to make sure that when we get them, they actually work. So that's really cool. And so I want to thank her. Her company does printing, packaging, promotions, mailing, and fulfillment. And they actually print the Sequoia Awards program. And I'd also like to thank Kyle, because Kyle's been very instrumental in helping me work with her. So big thanks to this parent.
Let's see, so I'll go. I continue to have conversations and emails and Zoom meetings through my CSBA work, the California School Boards Association, the Finance Committee, and we have an upcoming board meeting and delegate assembly. We're going to do the delegate assembly with, I don't know, 350 or 400 people on it. Maria, you know how much fun that'll be. It was exciting when we were all there in a room, and the different ideas that different parts of our state have on various policies, and we have a number of kind of intense things to talk about. So it'll be very interesting to see how decision making goes with that. That's in a couple weekends, so I'll give you an update after that. And then I've been communicating on the Climate Action Task Force. So if you have any ideas on the Climate Action Task Force, things that you'd like CSBA to be thinking about as they help school districts with climate change. I know it's sort of far removed from COVID, but it is sort of a longer term issue that we need to be thinking about addressing potentially. So anyway, if you have any ideas there, let me know. And then of course, I think many of us have been on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday county calls. Today was really great with the county health officer, Dr. Scott Moore. I really appreciated hearing from him and all the different questions. And then San Mateo County School Boards Association, we're also having those weekly meetings that I think many of us are attending as well. Just trying to, as similar to what the superintendents are doing, the school board members are trying to coordinate as well in terms of what we're doing and just sharing best practices and that sort of thing. So that's it. Thanks.
Thanks. And yeah, I think the only thing I have to report is the county calls and the San Mateo School Boards Association also. And I was so looking forward to Dr. Morrow today. And then I realized I had to hop off like almost as he started because I had an IEP meeting. So I missed most of it, but what I did hear was, it was really good information. So Dr. Baker, do you have anything you want to share?
The only thing I'll share is that I've been involved this week with the interviews for the executive director for Redwood City 2020. Did 2 yesterday and 2 today. Have 1 more to do tomorrow. And then the total debrief will be on Friday. And the interviews have been good candidates, but they each take about 2 hours on Zoom. And it's an hour and a half, at least an hour and a half to 2 hours. And they scheduled us, and this is the first round, so the 2 that we select to come back for the final interviews, those interviews are definitely 2 hours long for each individual because there's, and I don't know how they're going to do this, there's a participation piece where they have to demonstrate skills and so forth of handling a meeting. And so whatever this company has put them through previously, we will get to see and ask questions about. So it's quite interesting it's a whole different ball game of how to do an interview on Zoom. And it's very tiring. It is really tiring. There are 5 of us on the panel, and they've got us down minute by minute what we have to do. And then at the end, and we just barely make it through the interview with the time allotted. It's like I say, quite interesting, and it's different, and I'm really tired when I get off of it. I think we all are. We have a board member on it from Sequoia, she's on it. So and we laugh about it when we get off, when we're done.
Zoom fatigue is a real thing. So yeah. And sorry, was that it? Were you done?
Yes.
Okay. So 15.1, review of Connect's second interim. Are there any comments or questions? Okay, 15.2, KIP's second interim. Comments or questions? Then moving on to 15.3, Rocket Ship's second interim. Questions or comments?
Yeah, I had a comment. So I'd just like to thank Patty Knight and Priscilla for all the work they do on this. I see these before they go out, and Patty puts a lot of energy and effort, and Priscilla puts a lot of energy and effort into it as well. So I'd like to thank them.
Definitely thank you to them.
Thank you. We'll let Patty Knight know.
Great. Item 16, correspondence. I think we've all received some emails about school naming. Anybody else have anything?
Jude has sent us some emails, I believe, of parents that have been very complimentary of the staff at Clifford. And then we've also had a mom that was very complimentary of the special ed program that I think everybody got.
Great. Item 17, other business, suggested items for future agenda. We talked about a resolution for report cards, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have? Go ahead.
And then we also have the additional items that in meeting with board members regarding the boundary changes, those are coming forth also, that I believe Ellie has started to put on these on the calendar.
I believe that the first one is May 20th, right? At our next meeting?
The first one is at our next meeting. That's the information. It's just information. And then we have a public hearing on June 10th. So there's June 10th meeting, and there is a June 17th meeting for another public hearing.
And that would be the approval?
No, the approval would come on June 24th.
Got it. So for the members of the audience, this is regarding the closure of some of the neighborhood schools. So people that have been assigned to those schools like Selby Lane, John Gill, Hawes, Fair Oaks. What's the other one?
That's it for neighborhood.
It is, okay. So the people that lived in those boundaries need to be redistricted to other neighborhood schools. So that's what's coming forth starting at our next meeting, May 20th. So tune into that if you're interested, please.
So, John, one thing I know, I saw you had the timeline and the process in your superintendent's weekly email, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so I did see it there, and I was thinking that it might be good if the principals also make sure that they put it in their announcements out to the school sites. I do think this will be one of the things we want to make sure as many people know about it as possible, because people will have an opinion.
Okay.
Just, as you know, we need to communicate, because just sort of like tonight hearing about the school name, I think there's some misunderstanding about the process and how we, have been taking input, and there has been opportunities for public comment and all of that sort of thing. So I just hope that we don't get through this process and then people say that they didn't have an opportunity to be a part of it. Yeah.
Well, Jorge will be putting some reminders out also. So Jorge will continue to do that also. So
yeah,
he and I will be talking tomorrow. I think
probably the biggest thing, closing schools, naming schools, and changing boundaries, right? Are kind of three things that the community really cares about. So,
well,
all right, thank you.
One thing we need to think about too is the families who have young children or don't even have children yet that don't realize they might be reassigned. And so we want to be able to reach out to them. So we might need to think about how we can, if we send letters to all the houses in those boundaries, or I know I can put it out on Nextdoor, but it's something we need to think about.
And the other thing is maybe we can the city also put it on their piece. Well, we can I'll have Jorge talk to their communications person to see if they can get it on there also.
Great.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Was there anything else on item 17? Okay, so the board agenda calendar, Elisa, I know you had asked about having that updated. So if you can take a look, there's a whole list of things that got shifted around.
Thank you.
We will not have to do an ESSA addendum update, actually. So we can remove that ESSA part addendum, because we already have applied and we have received our federal funds, so we should be fine. So that's
Good.
one less thing. So happy.
That's one less. Perfect.
Yeah, very happy.
Linda?
Did you catch that, Ellie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the conclusion of our agenda. With the adjournment, we are going to head back into closed session to go over 3.2 and 3.3, I believe. Is there a motion to adjourn back to closed session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
So I think we got Dennis and Maria. We'll just, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, thank you.
Aye.
Thanks everyone for sticking to this meeting.
All right, perfect.